Yeah.
Is that the essence of it?
At a higher rate.
Well, yeah, I know, okay, capitalism or whatever you wanna call it, but anyways, I see that, but again, where is there any benefit for the local residents of, that deal with Central Hudson? Is Central Hudson getting something out of this? No,
To answer
so
some of
why?
these questions for you.
I have an answer.
Okay.
Central Hudson is roped into this just like we are. They want no part of this thing. Central Hudson, what is going on right now, Hochul is trying to take over Central Hudson by forcibly take over the utility company. They will own that substation up there, the state, and that's why the heck bent I'm putting these things in, because if they take over Central Hudson utility, they control the power
So
in
they
this
wanna-
Central Hudson area, and that's a fact.
So they wanna
I worked for them for
socialize,
30 years.
so they wanna socialize our
So it's
utility
nothing to do with Central Hudson they're opposing this thing, trust
So
me.
why don't they have the say? Why doesn't Central Hudson?
They had meetings at South Road, I've been to them.
I know, but why isn't Central Hudson saying, no, we don't want this?
They don't have a,
We're-
they don't have a choice, it comes
just
back to
say
the
they don't want
legislation.
It's a
But
good
Hochul,
question, we can't
New York
answer
State,
it.
through the politics and stuff, they can forcibly take over the shareholders, the state invests the money and takes over a utility or anything. But my point, going beyond this, we're not supposed to discuss anything here but this battery thing, but the fact is, the government is trying to take over for control.
Right, but at this point, Central Hudson is still privately held, yes? Okay, so as an entity like that, they're purchasing and so the two are connected, is what I'm saying. They don't operate independently of one another. The battery plant,
Right, that's
facility,
correct.
storage unit still ties into Central Hudson.
Absolutely.
It has to,
So,
because-
right, so where is it that Central Hudson, they're like the overall umbrella? This is an entity that feeds into Central Hudson, so Central Hudson should be saying, wait, we don't want that. So
Well,
I don't-
actually, if I may,
Yeah.
down in the city, Con Ed recently has said there's been so many of these battery things
But-
popping up that now, Con Ed is saying that they want the battery applicants to start contributing to the infrastructure on the grid. Because what's happening, so many of these come in online
Yep.
that now you need a beefed up infrastructure.
For sure.
And if these facilities, if these private companies don't pay for it, that cost will get passed along to us as consumers in our Central Hudson bills. So,
Okay,
all right, next.
Central Hudson opposing this thing, they don't want it, but here's the thing, that goes onto their system, because they've already allowed, however it was arranged, you can have solar panels and
Yep.
that the utility by law has to buy back the power.
Net
that you put
metering.
out. So
Yes.
that's the deal, they have to take it.
Central Hudson has no choice. That was the law that was passed that forced them to do
Right, but
this.
it's not on the capacity that something like this is, and this is so short term. You're trickling, as individual solar panel owners, we're trickling into the grid, net metering.
When you think about the numbers they put up, okay?
I don't even know
It
what
said, how many megawatts for 4 hours, was it 400 megawatt for a 4-hour rating?
Yeah, how many houses does
Well,
that feed?
I mean, going back to the context, down there, the context of the generating station, Rosen Generating Station, I worked down there for 20 years. They put out 600 megawatts an hour from those generators, 600 megawatts. This is gonna put out 400 megawatts over a course of 4 hours, it's peanut, it's
Right,
nothing.
right,
It's
nothing.
absolutely nothing for the investment, the contamination problem, and the widespread space taken up there. It's a big error. That's my consensus to this.
Wait, thank you.
All right, next.
I just wanna make one comment,
Oh.
and then we'll take more. My understanding is that the town makes an assessment on the project, and will get big bucks from that.
How many years?
I don't know.
It's not big bucks. Just keep that in mind. It's not big bucks. It sounds like big bucks, but when you average it out over the years, it's at most a couple of $100,000 a year. What is that? A secretary plus health benefits?
Okay, so,
That doesn't help.
yeah, that, and also they get a percent, the town, my understanding is, gets a percentage of the electricity that flows through the whole thing. Now, I need to ask everyone a question, because it's 7:30, we have to be out of here by 8.
Oh,
I want to include everyone, are people okay with continuing to go for a little bit? Okay, and then I think at maybe at 1:15, we'll have to make a few last announcements and then close. So, who hasn't spoken? Yes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Beverly and I live down on Silvers Drive. And I have a question about this bill that is now present in Albany about extending the 500-foot limit to a 1,000-foot limit. And if we could all get together and support that, that sounds to me, maybe I'm wrong, that 1,000-foot limit would do away with this possibility, in terms of residences.
No, it's
Be less viable as a location.
Yeah. So if we could perhaps get more information on how to.
yes, we can get you more
Great.
what was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
information on the bill that would change the 500 limit to 1,000.
Oh, absolutely. And we can pull this up. Definitely come and talk to us at the end. Somebody just asked for the presentation. Some of the information is included in the presentation too. So we don't have printouts as such, but you can scribble that particular thing down and you can give us your contact information and we can pass on what we have.
Great, thanks.
You had your hand up a long time, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, forgive me if, we're all learning, because this is a lot of information that, we're all learning.
Yes, we are all.
Renewable energy, solar panels, I have solar panels. I'm all for renewable energy because climate change and the fact that oil is a big problem, overseas and here. So this is about, with the more solar panels and other kinds of renewable energy, where do we store that energy? And they store it in the batteries. Now, in other countries, from what I've heard, they have thousands and thousands of these batteries. They have them in Texas and they have them in California and in Europe. And I think it's really important to research how they're managing with them, if there's other fires that you're worried about, because I did hear that it was like under 1% chance that a fire would even happen. And
I'll answer this.
0.6%.
I'll answer this
Okay, I'm not done.
when you're done.
Okay, and so I feel like everybody's just expecting a fire, but in actuality, it's like a lower chance than maybe those propane tanks blowing up that are nearby too. Or it's a very low chance. Okay, so there's a lot of misinformation, and I think it's really important that we all learn all sides of this, because if you care about the planet and you want to stop contributing to climate change and spewing out oil and gas into the air, we're gonna have to have batteries, and that's just the way it is. And maybe there
Okay.
are safer alternatives, but.
All right, thank
This
you,
is
thank
the-
you. Let me answer
other
this
side of
question
things.
because the purpose of this session is not to have a debate about fossil fuels versus renewable energy. That's not why we're here. The reason we're here is to discuss whether this facility belongs in the middle of our community. Is this an appropriate location? So I just want to ground that conversation. And as we heard earlier on, there was a discussion about nobody's against renewable energy. Nobody's even against using that industrial corridor for something. But if something goes in there, it needs to be done in a structured, rational, well-ordered process. And it needs to be something that's meaningful, that meaningfully contributes to the energy issue. 4 hours for this kind of facility, as we've heard, does not make much sense, and there's much better technology out there. And when you talk about these percentages are meaningless at this point because there's an acceleration in deployments. Those percentages are basically like I can make a percentage up to tell you anything, right? They're not a valid control at this point. And as we also discussed earlier, the insurance companies are now looking at this. They have concern too, not just about the batteries, but the associated components. So It's not a conversation about global warming, and it's not a conversation about fossil fuels. It's about, is this facility safe in that location? Are there other technologies that would be better suited? And can this town follow a rational, well-ordered process that engages the community in this discussion before it's too late?
Okay, next, yes,
Hi,
your name, please?
I'm sorry, Janet, I live
Thank you.
in Saugerties Manor Road. Has the town thought about the less tangible effects that are going to happen to the community? Property value, thinking about, our volunteer fire department. Are they going to want to volunteer if this is an option? Tourism, it's all of these things that even if people are getting misinformation, people are still getting it, and it will still affect our area in negative ways where any kind of fiscal incentive, big or small, that's coming into the community might be lost in eventually having lower property taxes again, because it's a less desirable neighborhood to live in, or people undervaluing their homes to sell to go to an area that this is less likely to happen. So as a community, who's taking this into consideration that they're being penny wise and pound foolish?
Very good questions, thank you. Please come to the planning board and the town board and say those things out loud. Sir?
Hi, Eric from Lafayette Street in the village. When they had that propaganda science fair several weeks ago, they said millions of dollars to Saugerties. And so I tried to flesh that out. It turns out that's over either 15 or 20 years, which is the expected life of it. And so you do the math on, so if it's less than $2 million, because they said it was around 2 million. When they said millions, they literally meant 2 or slightly less. And you spread that over 15 or 20 years, and you figure the property tax in town is somewhere between, some people might be paying $8,000 or $10,000 in property taxes. It's all gone up for everyone, and we're all regretful of that. But so we're talking about all the risk that this town is forced to take on for the sake of the equivalent of, say, 10 or 12 or 14 houses worth of property tax. It's not a lot, and we're carrying such a burden, and I want to know why we're even talking about this. I don't understand, because there's not any major gain. And what happens is, and this is the last thought. My mind goes to someone's getting their pocket. And I'm not saying it's happening. I'm absolutely not saying that's happening. But you gotta be suspicious. You gotta say, well, why are we talking about it? Why are you considering? Why is the board like, oh yeah, we're all for it?
Yeah, why?
What do we know that they don't?
Okay, who hasn't spoken yet? That wants to
So
speak?
I'd like to speak, the advantage of.
Your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Skip Arthur, I live on Minor Street. And the advantage of it is, like what they did in Texas, there's a variance. And where the grid is controlled is in the New York State Independent Operator System. They control how the grid works. And there's a variant in that grid. And sometimes there's a lot of demand and sometimes there's little. So when you need that, a lot of demand, sometimes peaker plants have to come in, like in heat areas. And these batteries then are there to make up that difference, so you don't have to use peaker plants. And there's a lot of other things that vary the thing. And it's only not just this one place, there's these batteries everywhere to help modulate the grid. And actually, it lowers the cost because the grid doesn't have to be improved. The battery systems can help modulate that grid. And that's the advantage. When you ask what the advantage is, it's the advantage of everybody in that electric aquifer that gets from it. I mean, the electrons aren't sent anywhere else. They're in the grid. And sometimes the grid has enough, sometimes it doesn't. And the iOS has to balance that all the time.
Okay.
And the batteries help that modulation.
Right.
So that's the advantage.
We understand that because a lot of us have been to some of these InfoSuasion presentations previously. We understand about balancing out the grid. We understand about using this storage to avoid bringing peaker plants on. What we're saying as a community is that we're not comfortable with having these facilities so close to where we live. It could go out at the cement plant, fine. Still a waste of technology because there's better technology coming down the line. They're dangerous. There is no advantage to our community. I unfortunately know how it must feel to spend decades fighting an environmental battle to come to this point where this is the culmination of an environmental track or an environmental meaningful engagement. But I think some of the committees, including the conservation, the CAC committee, are not paying attention to the fact that in the middle of our community is not the right place for them. Okay, and this isn't about ideals or being ideologues. It's about realities on the ground. People who will have to live with this. Property values that will be devalued. Noise factor, danger factor. There's so much that outweighs the reasons why they should not be in the middle of our community. So much so that Kathy Hochul, I know you're upset about it, is talking about slowing things down, take a step back, and approaching this in a more rational way. So while I understand when you talk about what they're there for, we all understand. We are saying this is not the right place for them. But thank you.
Also, I just have to say, when's the last time your power, you couldn't have power because there wasn't enough power?
Never.
And all the new things that are coming that are sucking up the power are not things that we will benefit. Well, some of them maybe, but that's another whole question. Who hasn't spoken yet? Anyone who wants to speak who hasn't spoken
Yeah,
yet?
I have a super quick question.
Yeah.
This is the first I'm hearing about a solar farm. Is that a done deal? Like,
No, it was
okay.
brought, they made an application at the last plan.
But it is,
But what?
it's pretty much a done deal because
Yeah, I mean, nobody's fighting it, so.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Well, it just came
Exactly.
out of nowhere, just like everything else.
exactly, and this is the whole thing about the segmentation. Like they had the battery company actually had the lot that the solar farm's going onto was part of the original battery facility. Was originally part of the battery facility application. Now they're now they've separated it and they want to treat one over here and one over there. They're gonna be sharing infrastructure. It's illegal to segment those discussions and not consider the full impact on our community. I think we need to go on to next steps.
One
No,
more
I got
question.
it, I got it.
Randolph was making a very important point. What is the name of the company that is a USA producing battery form of
Well, we can
storage?
get into that, but the point is, do we want this in the middle of our community
Well, there's that.
still?
But something is,
That's, yeah, that's down the line probably.
okay.
Okay, so next steps. No, I need the light. Okay, no, I better. So on April 15th, we're planning on presenting a petition, which is an online, and we have it here, petition that has right now over 400 signatures. And that's a very important meeting to come to support us, town board. We have a sheet with all the dates on the desk back there, so you don't have to write anything down. Please sign up for our emails. We'll be doing regular newsletters and updates. Submit comments. Make your wishes known to the planning board and to the town board. And the information to email them or call them is also on the table. Yeah, this is not yet